Hey, Scott here, and welcome to my very humble garage gym. In this video, what I want to do is kind of demonstrate how we learn Kung Fu once we progress through some of the basic training that we get. We start getting into what we call fighting forms, and what I'm going to demonstrate is a small piece of a tiger form that I learned, and I'm going to demonstrate the form itself, slow motion, and then more at fighting speed. And then I'm going to show you the form application, so the formal application of the form itself. And then I'm going to give you a couple ideas of what practical application there might be from that small section of this tiger form. So hope you enjoy this video, and let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate the formal application of this tiger form that I just did while I was outside. So starting with our hands in chamber position, we look off to the right, we open up our right foot a little bit, and then we take a C step with our left foot. And then we strike with a front thrust kick. As we're setting this foot down, we have a shot coming at our lower gate that we've got to deal with, so we give a lower level block as we go into our right lunge stance. After that, we've got a rounded strike coming in at our head, so we block. Then we go forward, our opponent's in front of us now, or an opponent is in front of us now. Strike to the chest, claw down, strike, claw down, strike. Then we rake across the throat, back across. We draw it in to chamber, and we step back sort of like in a cat stance. And then we step back forward into the lunge stance and spear strike to the throat. Now we've got an opponent coming off to our left that we weren't really prepared with. We see it out of the corner of our eye, and we evade, and at the same time we get a quick shot in with kind of a crane head strike. So we're striking with this part of our hand, the bone above the thumb, into the groin. We draw back up, and as we're drawing up under the chin, we get a quick shot in. Draw that back, the left hand's back into chamber. Strike back into the groin with a tiger mouth, back up with that crane, and then strike into the throat with a tiger mouth. And then what happens in that form is that we basically repeat that whole sequence to the other side over here. So that is your form application as you're taught learning this form. First you get the movements, and then you learn the formal application. And next up, I want to demonstrate what may be some practical uses of these techniques. Okay, welcome back. So now let's discuss a couple practical applications that you can take away from this small section of that tiger form. These practical applications actually were not what I was taught, but are more applicable in a street fighting sense. These applications are based on combatives principles rather than martial arts kind of principles. So the first kind of principle or application that when I really break down that particular part of the tiger form is this flinch response. So if you recall, we were in that position where we had just thrown a spear strike to the throat. That is something you'll never do out in the street. So, I mean, literally, you can end up with a broken finger that way if you don't get a great shot right into the throat, if you're not accurate. If you hit the breastbone or the forehead or the chin, you're just going to end up with a broken finger. So that is pretty much a pointless strike to use out in the street. But from this position, if you recall, all of a sudden we get an attack coming over here, and we kind of get this evasion thing. It's kind of like we're throwing up our palm parry block, evading this kind of a strike coming in, and then getting a quick shot into the groin. So under fire, that's a technique that you just probably never going to use. But what actually is going to happen in real life, this is exactly what happens. Out of the corner of your eye, if you see something coming at your head or whatever, the automatic response is kind of this flinch. Okay, you're going to get your hands up. You have no idea how you're going to get them up. They're just going to go up to protect your head. And so we can put that to use by getting that up. And if we're able to just latch on, if you recall, the next move after this move here was we're bringing our left hand into a chamber. Often in Kung Fu, that signifies grabbing onto your assailant or your opponent and pulling them in towards you. So after this flinch response, we can latch on and then go into a continuous assault kind of a situation. That continuous assault is the other principle that I basically derive out of this form. If you recall, prior to the clawing across the neck, we have struck to the body 3 times with a palm heel strike. The first 2 times we clawed down. So that could actually be a claw up or a strike under the chin and then raking of the face or whatever. That's often taught in self-defense and all that stuff. But what we actually can get out of this is, since we're getting that 3 straight strikes, you'll see that in the real world, that's what a tiger is going to do. He's not going to just throw 1 strike at the other tiger. He's going to continuously throw those big paws out. And that's exactly what we want to do in a street fighting situation. We always want to be on offense. We do not want to just throw 1 strike unless we've already knocked out our opponent. We want to continuously assault. So that is a significant principle that we'll discuss further down the road. That continuous assault could be, maybe you've latched on to your opponent and you're striking to the head until you can feel that their body is basically collapsing as you're holding on to them. You can follow these first 2 strikes, maybe they're starting to go down. You can follow with an elbow, whatever. But that is the main kind of principle that I get out of this particular part of the tiger form. So always remember this continuous assault kind of idea, moving forward, and that flinch response is something that you're going to see a lot going forward in our discussions of self-protection and actual combatives. So, okay, so that's kind of my interpretation of practical application of this little piece of the tiger form that I know for use in your training. And thanks for watching.